While we're talking about hypocritical, worthless people, let's talk about destiny. Now, I was unable to listen to Wick's panel, but Wick had a panel where Destiny, I'm assuming, was on the right side of the argument, and that was that there is one amount of infighting, very similar to the Israel-Palestine infighting that's going on in the Democratic Party. You now have the people that are celebrating the idea of shooting the UnitedHealthcare CEO, and those that realize that that's unhinged insanity, and it will cost their party mightily if this is deemed the normal attitude of a Democratic voter. Destiny, I believe, is in the latter portion of that, and he is correct in that debate. And he made a very eloquent post that I saw someone post. I'm blocked by him, by the way, on X. He rage quits when I do a debate with him, then he blocks. We get it. Anyways, I did see someone reposted, one of his fans or whatever reposted a little minute-and-a-half clip where he talks about why he's sort of against this mentality. And you could go watch it for yourself, but this is the gist of what he's saying. Even if we personally find things abhorrent or immoral, we have sort of a normalcy of what we consider normal behavior in our society. So if you think that working, for example, he didn't use this example, but I'll give the example. You might be a heavy believer in climate change, and you might think that the fossil fuel industry is destroying the earth. But that doesn't mean you get to assassinate some guy who has a family who works on oil rigs. See the difference? You see what we're talking about? Because we just have built a high-trust society that says, no, that sort of stuff is immoral. You can't do that. Right? There could be cases made for self-defense, but it's in more direct instances, not that dude does a job that I blame for bad stuff happening. And so he's making this case for this healthcare CEO. We can't do that. I agree. It's almost like Destiny saying this. Just because you work for an industry that many people might find incredibly unpopular and blame for a bunch of terrible things doesn't mean that you're fucking around and finding out if someone happens to murder you for that. That's basically Destiny's argument. Nico, thanks for becoming a member, man. Oh, but you know what's funny? When a Trump supporter got murdered in an attempted assassination of Trump, what do you think Destiny's take on that was? Hey, that Trump supporter and anyone else that's a Trump supporter, you have to know that Trump is so evil and terrible and so hated that if you go to one of his rallies, well, you're risking your life because fuck around, find out. That's what you're doing. And in Destiny's world and all of his supporters, there's no contradiction there. None. Now, I didn't see what his response was to this. He may say something like, well, I didn't say that I celebrated the assassination of Trump or that I wanted it to happen. Now, he chose his words very carefully. Well, actually, he didn't. What he did was he was spiraling out of control because he realized that his party was losing the news cycle at that point. And he's not a very good loser, which you think at this point in his life he'd be used to it. Nonetheless, so as he's spiraling out of control, he's saying all kinds of crazy shit, and then he has to keep doubling down instead of saying, look, I was a little upset. Then what he always does later, just like when the George Floyd riots were occurring in real time on day 2 or 3 when I debate him, and he said, rioting's the other side of the coin of voting, and I'm against them attacking personal property, but if they're just attacking government buildings, that's getting their voice heard. When he said that shit, then he had to change his story months and years later once he realized, oh, that doesn't help me in my political position right now. Now he's doing the same. So if you remember, I didn't mind, well, I won't say I didn't mind, but him joking about Corey Competore is one thing. Perfect. Okay. And he does have a point. There were people that joked when Paul Pelosi got attacked. People joked about George Floyd. Now, there are clearly differences in the scale of those things, but the general point's true. If you're going to clutch your pearls when someone that you venerate gets murdered, then you shouldn't be Mr. haha jokey mean guy when someone else is a victim of physical violence on the other side. I understand before people say, but there's a difference, George Floyd was a criminal, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But the general principle that Destiny's saying is true. Okay, fine, great. But he didn't just stop there. He made this comment about if you go to a Trump rally, you're basically, hey man, it's the same as walking down a gang, a known gang territory in the middle of the night. You're taking your life in your hands. You shouldn't have a reasonable expectation of security because you're at a rally of some evil dude. So fuck around, find out. That was his stance. He said if his mom went, same thing. Then when he was asked directly by his little toady Pisco, hey, did you want that bullet to kill Trump? Listen, I defended Destiny when he was on Piers Morgan, and he basically made an argument that I've made in the past. I am asked all the time by a bunch of lefties that were either silent or cheered on the spying of Trump's campaign, including illegal FISA warrants to spy on his team. Then will ask me, will you condemn Trump using illegal FISA warrants? Tash got a Fools, thanks so much for the sub. 100% thanks for taking the time to help reveal. No problem. Appreciate it. I get that. I'm not gonna, no, if you were perfectly fine, I don't know you shit. Don't ask me. That's how I feel about a lot of this immigration shit. That's why you hear these people calling all the time that are like, oh, you know, okay, but what are we gonna do about legal immigration? I'm not interested. Fuck you. Unless you could show me that you were concerned about illegal immigration and calling for it to be dealt with, I don't want to hear the people that were totally fine during the Biden administration with what was going on at the border say, well, now can we have a serious conversation of what we'll do with H-1Bs? Can we have a serious conversation of what we're going to do, you know, when it comes to who's going to pick fruit and stuff now? Fuck you. No. Now, do I think that we should have a complete immigration moratorium? No. But I don't know any Biden voter that was perfectly fine with that shit and explanation. Fuck you. You're just trying to control the narrative and refocus away from the fact that our border should be secure and these illegals should be kicked out. Period. So I get that from Destiny's perspective. If he thinks someone didn't call out the people making fun of Paul Pelosi, I don't know them shit. Telling me I have to apologize for Corey Competore or condemn acts of violence. Nope, I don't know you shit. But that's not who his toady Pisco is. And he knows that. So when Pisco straight up asked him, and I said this was the one hang up I had. When Pisco calls into a show and straight up asks, says, look, be honest, dude. Did you want that bullet to kill Trump? And Destiny's response was, I don't know what I could say because of terms of service. And then says, but I will say this. The worst thing was him being shot at and surviving. That's what Destiny said. Because that would lead to increased popularity of Trump and galvanize his supporters, etc., etc. Now, he'll say, well, that's not saying I was calling for an assassination, but if there was going to be an attempt, the best thing would be for it to kill Trump. That's Destiny's position. And to Pisco's credit, he was like, no, God, no. That's terrible. Which I give Pisco credit for. That's why he has to suck up to Destiny so much, because in the odd chance that he pushes back, then he has to spend his time sucking up. So to then watch that guy be the voice that's going to be like, hey, lefties, let's pull the reins on this Luigi Mangione thing. Fuck you. The only difference between the UnitedHealth CEO and a Trump supporter getting murdered at a rally is you think one person's doing a noble pursuit or a pursuit that doesn't bother you, and you think the other person's doing something that you hate. Wrongful Rage for $10 says, yay, free membership. Keep up the good work, Rob. You got it, Wrongful Rage. That's it. The tactics, the rhetoric is okay, and it changes selectively to fit his political agenda. That's all it is. Of course, I tell him that, but I'm blacklisted and blocked. Rob GPT, nailed it. So, there's my little spiel about Destiny today.